Hi guys and welcome to my channel. I'm Christina. Today I have a review and swatches of the OPI Wicked holiday collection for 2024. This is a 12-piece collection inspired by the musical Wicked, and they all have these really cool, interesting Wicked stamped caps. The first polish is this grass green. It's called Witch O'Clock. I have to admit, I'm not going to know a lot of these references. I have not actually seen Wicked, which is shocking because I absolutely love musicals. This one kind of reminds me of a lemon lime grass green. It's a very interesting choice. Definitely reminds me of the Wicked Witch of the West. I'm not sure if that's exactly what they were referring to here, but as you can see, it's a little bit on the sheer side. Good formula. I am very sorry about my swatching here. I am still very new to swatching on camera. I am also somebody who likes to do very, very thin coats. I am always worried that I'm going to flood my cuticle, so I tend to err on the side of doing too thin of coats, and then unfortunately I get this, what you're seeing here. This polish had absolutely no issues on its own. I will say it was a little bit on the thicker side for me than what I'm used to, which I think definitely made it a little harder for somebody like me who tends to do thinner coats, because with a thick polish like this, it's very hard to do those thinner coats and get it to spread out evenly. I've also seen some other reviewers talk about the streaks that their polish had in this. I was not able to capture that on camera with my setup, but I will say that in the bottle and actually on the nail, if you look very, very closely, there is some mixing issues going on with this polish, and it does cause a little bit of streaking. I don't know that I feel like it's enough that it would stop me from wearing this polish. I think it's a very pretty color, and I think for that it would be worth it. I don't know that it's so noticeable that you're going to see it without looking for it, but it's definitely there. This next polish is a beautiful blue called Fiero's My Manny. Not a color I was expecting to see in this collection, but I'm happy it's here nonetheless. It's a primary blue, very bright on the nails. Definitely a little bit on the squishier side and a little bit thin, so I will need 2 coats for this one. Absolutely no application issues on this other than, again, my own application issues trying to get used to the swatching process. But the polish itself was a lot more even and a lot less thick than the last polish that we looked at, so I was very happy with the way that this one applied. As you can see, I definitely still have some nail lines showing after this first coat here. I'm going to need a second one, which isn't that unusual. I would say that this polish definitely leans more on the crelly side, so it's a little bit more squishy and see-through, and probably could use 3 coats for full opacity. This next polish is called, I believe, Nessa Ist Rose. It is a dark red cream color. Not really sure what kind of red to describe this as. It's kind of like a brick red, but it has a little bit more pink in it than what I would consider a brick red. It's a pretty polish, not my cup of tea. I'm not really the biggest red wearer, but it applied beautifully smooth. You can see here there was no application issues. And it went on very evenly, levels itself out very nicely. No complaints on this one. It is a little bit sheer still on the first coat, so I will definitely need a second coat. Here's the second coat. I don't notice any color change in this polish on the second coat. I believe it just makes it opaque enough where you can no longer see the nail line, but it doesn't really change the color at all. This next color, I absolutely love the name. It's O for Oz Sake. It is a milky white base with this very interesting shimmer. It kind of reminds me of an opal. I'm not really sure if that shimmer is blue or green. It is one of the most interesting polishes I've seen in a long time. Definitely very unique to my collection, and I have quite a few nail polishes, but it just reminds me of an opal or a pearl on the nails. Sheer for sure, but after the third coat of this one, it pretty much hid my nail line for the most part. You could see it in some angles. It's not a polish that I think is intended to cover the nail line. It's definitely just supposed to be a swash of this color, but I liked it a lot anyway, even though I'm not normally a fan of visible nail line. Because of how interesting it was and the finish that it had, highly recommend this polish, especially if you like these types of finishes. And here's the third coat. The third coat definitely helped to cover up my visible nail line for the most part at certain angles. I had a little bit of it still visible at certain angles, so if you don't like that, you could use a blurring base, but I just think with this polish and the way that it glows, it's worth having a little bit of nail line. This next polish is a bright pink, and it is called Glinda the Good. It has a bright pink base with what looks like a pink shimmer. This polish goes on so beautifully, and honestly, the very first time that I put this coat on my nail, I gasped audibly. I think it is one of the glowiest polishes I've seen in a long time. Very, very pretty. Covers very, very well also. You do still have some nail line. I know it's really hard to tell on my swatch here, but I can definitely see my nail line at all angles still after the first coat. And even after the second and third coats of this polish, it was still very, very sheer. And by sheer, I just mean that you can still see my very stark white nail line, not that the polish itself didn't apply the way it was supposed to. It's a beautiful, beautiful polish, and it truly glows. My swatch does not do this polish justice. Here's the second coat. On the second coat, you can see it just adds a little bit of opacity, maybe a tiny bit more sparkle, but not really. It's really just covering up that visible nail. The next polish is called Love You So Munchkin. I absolutely love this name. As somebody who's been a fan of The Wizard of Oz my whole life, not really knowing much about Wicked, I'm sure that that's still a reference, but it's such a cool gold color, and it definitely is reminiscent of the Yellow Brick Road. I have to say I'm not really a fan of these colors on me. I have a very pink undertone in my skin, and so yellow polishes don't generally look very good on me. And they usually tend to give me lobster fingers. However, this polish itself, just because of the glow in it and because of the shimmer and sparkle, I actually really loved this on my nails. I thought that given the right nail art and the right circumstance, this could be a very beautiful manicure. Once again, like most of the other polishes in this collection, very sheer, buildable, needs probably 2 to 3 coats at least. On my nail line, it definitely needed 3, and I could still see some visible nail line at certain angles. I feel like that's not that. I think that's a little understandable in this collection because a lot of these polishes have interesting finishes and components like shimmer and things that need a more sheer polish in order to be seen. So I'm not that upset about the fact that a lot of these are a little bit more on the sheer side. I'm glad that OPI is giving us some interesting finishes in this collection because if there was ever a collection that required that, I think the Wicked collection would be it. There's 2 coats of Love You So Munchkin. Next polish is this beautiful, I believe it's a dark green. It's really, really interesting, and it's really, really hard to tell exactly what the color is in the bottle because there's so much going on. It's absolutely beautiful. It's almost got like a teal lean to it. It's called Defying Gravity, and it kind of seems to have a black jelly base, but it definitely has leanings towards green and blue in some lights. It has this very beautiful and interesting micro shimmer in it in all these different colors that just catch the light so beautifully. You can see here how much sparkle there is even after 1 coat. It's not a 1 coater, it's definitely going to require 2 coats for full opacity, which is absolutely fine, but I was surprised to get full opacity and still be able to see as much of that sparkle as I could after 2 coats. I don't know, there's something about the shimmer that's in this. It's definitely multicolored, and it just glows off the nail so well. It's almost like little diamonds have been dropped into this polish bottle. It's just beautiful. I think OPI hit it out of the park with this color. This next polish is this beautiful pale gold called Ozmazing. And it has this very interesting, they're almost like little pale gold flecks in it. It's not a straight shimmer like some of the other ones have been, and honestly, I didn't think I was going to love this color when I first saw it, but as soon as I put it on my nails, I realized that there is something about this polish that I just absolutely adore. I think it's perfect for this type of a collection. There's something about it that just, as soon as you see it, you're like, oh yeah, that makes sense for this collection. Originally, when I first looked at this polish in the bottle, I instantly thought of OPI's Baroque But Still Shopping. It has the same type of base color in it, but it does not have any of that chunky glitter that that polish had when they were doing, you know, some of their chunkier glitter mixes in metallic finishes. This polish, unlike Love You So Munchkin, it has more of a pale gold instead of a bright yellow gold. And I just think that there's something very classy about this color, and I think it would look good on pretty much every skin tone. As you can see here, it's still a little bit sheer even after 2 coats, but because of how much is going on in there, you really don't notice it. The next color is this baby pink with this bright pink shimmer. I believe there's more than one color shimmer in here, but it's called Galinda. It's definitely a reference that I don't understand, but I'm trying to show you the shimmer in here as best as I possibly can. It looks like there might be even some silver shimmer in here. This is a polish that is not at all meant to be opaque on its own. It's definitely a topper. You can see here that it just kind of gives you a swath of a light pink base or possibly even a clear base and some glitter shimmer just to kind of make your nails but better. I did build this up in 3 just to show you what that looks like. But even on 3 coats, it literally just looks like a sheer polish that has some pink shimmer in it. This next polish is a beautiful blue called I'm the Wonderfulest. Has like a denim blue base to it with a lot of really pretty multicolored shimmer. This first coat you can see it's very sparkly. Definitely not a one coater. We'll need more than 1 or 2 coats to get it fully opaque. But it does build up nicely on the nail. And once again, these OPI's formulas are just so smooth and buttery. I didn't have any application issues with this polish or any of the other ones in this collection for the most part, besides the green that we looked at first, Witch O'Clock. For the most part, all of the rest of these polishes applied very, very smoothly for me. There's the second coat of this polish. I did write down in my notes that I needed 3 coats for this polish to get completely opaque. After 2 coats, I could still see my nail line quite a bit, but again, my nail line is very, very stark, so if you have shorter nails or your nail line isn't quite as bright, you could probably get away with this polish in 2. This next polish is a beautiful dark burgundy purplish color. Don't really know how to explain this. It's called Let's Rejoicify. And it is another very, very interesting color combination out of this collection. It has like you can see here, almost like a burgundy base to it with a lot of multicolored shimmer, micro shimmer. The sparkle in a lot of these polishes are just outstanding. If you're somebody who likes glitter or shimmer, you're definitely going to like this collection. Application was smooth, no complaints. And I have in my notes here that I did 2 coats for opacity on this one. I think because of how much darker the base is, it was easier to get this one opaque in just 2 coats versus one like I'm the Wonderfulest, the blue that we looked at before, which took 3. That was because that base was just slightly less opaque than this base because of the lighter color. This is one I cannot wait to wear. I think this is a very pretty polish, and I honestly think that this is going to be a very nice polish even for the holidays. You know, there towards Thanksgiving and between Thanksgiving and Christmas, I think this will be a very nice color. And last but not least, one of my favorite from the collection, this is Positively Elphaba. This is a very interesting green base with a beautiful yellowish gold shimmer running through it, and I absolutely love this polish so much. You're going to see that I only do 1 coat for my swatch here in this video. I don't think that you're going to need more than 1 coat. I tend to do slightly thinner coats, as you can see here on my pinky finger, but if you do even slightly thicker coats than I do, which would be normal coats, I think just about everybody's going to be able to get this polish opaque on the first coat. It's stunning, it's beautiful, it covers my nail line completely. You can definitely see that shimmer standing out in it. There are a few brush strokes through that, but because of the way that the shimmer glows from inside the polish, it kind of distracts from that, and you don't even really notice that they're streaks. You can kind of see on my pinky when I first did that first swatch, it has a very interesting, almost like green base to it, but that's the entire collection. Please let me know if you're picking up any of these polishes, and if you are, which ones were your favorite. If you've seen Wicked, please let me know if I got any of these references correct, but absolutely love this collection, and I hope you check it out. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe.